Hello and welcome to, I guess we're going to call this On Deck. I am Alex Stumpf. My co-host to my left is Jarrod Prugar. We are both writers at BK Pittsburgh Sports, and we're doing something a little different here during the shutdown. You know, you don't get as many, you don't have as much access to minor league players as you normally would. This is something that we're going to hopefully get going, bring in some people that aren't always in the limelight right now, some people who might be in the lower levels, some sleepers in the organization, some coaches, and get just their input on what's going on, how they're handling the shutdown, and get to know them a little bit more. We have our first guest right here also. This is Michael Burrows, 2018 draft pick, right-handed pitcher. One of those sleepers, I think, in the farm system. Michael, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Jarrod, I feel like I just said everything there. So
you did. I've actually had the benefit of seeing Michael pitch. I saw him on the 4th of July last year in Williamsport, and it was a victory for him. Let me pull up the stat line here. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Michael, if I could ask the first question, when you look at a stat line, what's the first thing that really that you really look for to demonstrate that you're having success?
First thing would be, percent of strikes I threw that game, how well I was attacking the zone, I would say. Next thing would be strikeouts for sure. That's where I look. But that's not as important as, where I was putting the ball that game, if I was on, if I wasn't. Kind of lets me know if, my strike percentage is above, like, say 65%, that would be kind of ideal, and I want to keep the walks down.
No, that definitely makes sense, especially if you're looking at your strike percentage. And seeing you had 5 strikeouts that game, obviously, means that you were doing a pretty good job at doing that. But, Alex, I think I'm going to toss it back to you. I got my little question out of the way now that you let me talk, and then I'll open it up for you.
Cool, Jarrod. I'll see you in 20 minutes. One of the things that everyone's going through right now is the break. You don't have the same access to fields, facilities, gym. First of all, how are you handling all this?
Well, just making the most of it. I think it's a good time to spend with the family, first of all, first and foremost. But aside from that, just focusing on little things I would not, get to do during the season. Just kind of focusing on more, breakdown of mechanics, and I don't know, just a lot of little things that get lost through the course of the season.
Yeah. Is there anything specific with that mechanics things? Because I thought I spotted something compared to, video you had in high school compared to last year, but I don't want to put any words in your mouth or make myself look foolish.
Yeah, I think, since I've been young, I've always been told I have great arm action and, a lot of stuff. But when I look at myself, I see what I want to see is, just clean movements, and how I feel is my lower, what I've been working on is my lower body kind of going before my upper body, so I can create a little more torque as I'm going down the mound, if that makes sense. Just something like that. I don't know if you guys have heard of Clean Fuego. It's kind of on its way up right now, but it's a very good tool to work on your spin efficiency. And I've been using that lately. Just a lot of stuff that's, compiling on itself, but those are 2 general things that, I can work on right now.
Yeah. Watching your delivery change. Whenever you were in high school, it seemed like you had a little bit of a hitch, a pause whenever you're going through the arm action. Watching it recently, it feels like that, or it looks like that's kind of disappeared a little bit.
Yeah.
Was that something, is that part of what you were working on, or?
I feel like another thing is, as I'm maturing, I've also just cleaned things up because of the way my body is, evolving and adapting to, throwing harder and throwing harder consistently and stuff like that. I think that stuff just kind of cleans itself up as I go, which is nice to see. And I totally, I get what you're saying. And that stuff I didn't really have to worry about. As far as the arm action goes, it's kind of just been coming along, and I feel it not shortening up, but just getting to that cleaner spot. Just that's going to evolve into, the person I am when I'm, more mature at 25, 26, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, mechanically speaking, how do you get that added spin rate and that spin efficiency? How do you implement that into your arsenal?
Man, I had no idea until I got into a Rapsodo, what my spin really was and, all that. But I want to say rosin, some sunscreen, stuff like that, just like because I get super sweaty during games and stuff. And I just have to keep my hands as dry as possible and rubbing that ball up, just making sure it's as tacky as possible. Really, I mean, I don't even know, like whatever's around me, I'm trying to just keep my hands dry, keep it active, and spin. The amount of spin that I've gotten on my balls wasn't, I wasn't aware of it until someone told me last year, and I was like, wow, like now I can start using that to my advantage, like seeing what my vertical horizontal movements are on my fastball, seeing what my curveball actually does, like from someone else's point of view with the spin and how it can be more effective off of my fastball. I mean, the world we live in now with all these numbers, it's insane. I can't even go into depth with all that stuff, but I mean, just trying to learn every day, like how my ball moves and how it can move more efficiently off of my other pitches. My main concern right now, just kind of like looking into that stuff and seeing what I can do.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the spin also because Fangraphs has, pretty good look for the top prospects in each system, like what spins they get, and you're top for both breaking ball and fastball there. You said you weren't really that aware of it until last year. I mean, what was that conversation like whenever or one step further, who was the first person to bring that up to you in the organization?
So we have TrackMan on the field at least West Virginia did. So our, analytics guy who was in the, clubhouse doing all the stats, numbers, all that stuff. I came in after one of my starts and he showed me, he was like, dude, look, I mean, like, look at your swing and miss rate on the balls that you throw up versus the fastballs you throw down. Like your ball's practically invisible when you throw at the top of the zone. But like when you're throwing it down, you have a, swing and miss rate of like 16% versus like 35 at the top. So it was like just stuff like that. Like he was showing me, and then seeing what my curveball was at. It was like 2,900 to 3,000 spin. I was like, yeah, I was mind blown. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean that's rare air for major league pitchers, right there. Once you get start flirting with 3,000, but the parts in particular, it feels like last year before, the old regime started putting some emphasis on TrackMan's, Rapsodo, and the data basically said like you said, go up in the zone, and that completely went against everything that the major league team was doing, and they were having the upper levels of the farm system go with, throwing low, throwing in.
Right.
Did you ever get any of those mixed messages at all, or did?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't mixed. I totally understood. That's kind of like, the old way of doing things. Like you want to stay low in the zone. It's just like a older mindset, which will never go away. It works for a lot of guys, but there are guys who do throw very well at the top of the zone, who throw balls that have that rise and that carry to their ball, and you can't deny it anymore. Like you just have to. The thing with throwing down is I feel like you can control it better, but if you can learn to control the top of the zone and own that upper part of the zone, then you can really be dominant depending on how your stuff moves. If you go check that stuff out,
Jarrod, again, I feel like I go 20 minutes and you just.
No, you're good. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all this new school stuff because I'm very old school in coaching high school baseball. We don't have nearly the access that you guys have to cameras or everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to implement that with your training now and maintaining that the shape and kind of fitness level to play professionally once we get back to
how
baseball.
am I doing it at home currently? Yeah. So I do have free weights here. I got buckets of rice. I got all the homeschool inventions, you know what I mean, as far as weightlifting goes and stuff. And honestly, personally, I really enjoy doing a lot of body weight stuff and trying to stay explosive and light on my feet. And going out and just doing some sprints and doing like jumps, playing basketball, doing stuff like that to keep myself going. The heavy weightlifting is definitely beneficial, but I'm not, crying about it, not having it. It's not like the biggest part of my, workout routines and stuff and regiments. And as far as throwing goes, me and another kid that lives in the same town as me is with the Dodgers, and they're in Double A. We just been working, keeping each other sane through this whole thing. But we find there's a soccer field that's kind of hidden in our town that we go throw at when it's nice out, and we got a facility that's opened up to us when it's not. So, making the most of it.
Who was that in the Dodgers organization?
Nolan Long.
Nolan.
Now, have the Pirates, or has the Pirates organization given you any directive as far as the work they want you guys to be able to do during this quarantine and everything that's going on?
Yeah, they gave us a throwing program. They also we have an app that they keep in touch with us as far as workouts goes, and they kind of tailor it to guys who have a gym versus guys who don't. So I'm in that group who, doesn't have a gym that's available to me right now, or, all those weights to be able to do full-blown lifts. But yeah, I mean, they're keeping us going. They got everything, everything out there for us. If we want to use it, we do. If you don't, no offense taken.
There's been a little bit of talk that, well, actually a lot of talk that, there's not going to be a minor league season this year. It's just not going to be able to be pulled off whenever this is all said and done. But there's been, some floating about, okay, maybe there could be an extended spring training. I mean, the competitor in you, how much would it stink not to have the games, but if that's the best that you got to take it?
Man, I'll take anything right now. I went through I went through extended last year. I'll do that again. I don't, it doesn't matter to me, man. I just want to get down, compete, see the guys and hang out, and do our thing. Right now, this is depressing, I got to be home and doing I mean, not having a minor league season, of course that sucks, but the position that we're in right now, I'll take anything. I just want to compete,
Yeah, since you did the extended, what all does that entail, or what was that like for you? Because I think a lot of people hear extended spring training and they don't know exactly what all goes into that.
Extended is just spring training repeated for 3 months, but it's kind of more.
Sounds a little bit like a nightmare.
It's it's not that bad because all those guys leave, all the full season guys are out of there. So it's a very, a smaller group of guys that are down there. And I think as far as like development goes, I think it's very productive because for pitchers, the pitching coaches can control our innings, control what's going on, see what's happening. If we were thrown into full season, it's not as they can't control what happens besides taking us out, but they want to win games, right? So they don't want to have to do that stuff. As far as me, I was 19 years old. They want to control how many innings I'm throwing and then progress me into that short season that was coming up. So it's not all that bad.
All right. It'd just be a nightmare for the journalist to be there for 3 months and have to come up with 3 months worth of stories.
Absolutely.
Another aspect of being a pitcher, I mean, we talked about the breaking ball. I guess we should talk about the fastball first also, because you've gotten a nice boost, it feels like, since you've come into the system. You're, more or less hitting the mid-90s more often. Just maturing as a pitcher, though, and, building your body. What all goes into, trying to make sure that you're gaining weight, gaining it the right way to get those extra couple MPHs?
I never really looked at, gaining weight. My dad, I kind of look at him, or I take his, word for what he says, because he was in high school. He was a very skinny, not skinny, but like me, like just kind of an athletic, like lankier looking dude. And he didn't fill out till he was 25. So I'm not worried about like what I'm putting on for weight right now. I'm just playing, I'm trying to get stronger for sure. But as far as weight goes, I'm not really too concerned about.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously, I could put on weight. I put on a good 10 pounds during the shutdown, it feels like.
I wish I could really easy, but I can't. So I just decided I'm not even going to worry about it anymore.
It's called Pop-Tarts. It's a really great way to
I don't think the
There you
Pirates
go.
have that in their nutrition plan, Alex.
No, I would have flunked out pretty fast. And the third thing is the third pitch, because you've got a fastball, you got the breaking pitch with a ton of spin. To really be a starter in the upper levels and in the majors, though, you need that third pitch. How's that coming along for you?
It is coming along for sure. That's all I got to say. That changeup's really coming along lately. I promise. I mean, I made a lot of progress with it. I think it was really more of a mental thing with me. I barely threw it last year. I want to say maybe threw it like twice a game. And you might not even have known I threw it. It was probably like 88, like had some tail to it. Probably looked like a two seam. But I've really been working on it lately, and it's coming along.
How do you handle that mental aspect of pitching, especially initially as a professional coming straight out of high school?
Confidence is key, man. I mean, going up there and trusting in your abilities and what you can do is just that's the biggest part of it. As far as my pitches goes, like I think everybody has like a little, mental tick that they think about when they throw a fastball versus a curveball versus a changeup. Like there's something that they think about that helps them, get the most out of that pitch for them, if that makes sense. Everybody's different. I mean, as far as I know, everybody's got that little thing that they have to think about, or they got to do with their arm delivery type of just mental thing. Even if it doesn't look like anything changes, they think about something when they throw that pitch.
And what is that thing that you think about when it's you? Or are you not allowed to disclose that?
The fastball, I mean, as far as each pitch goes, right? Fastball, I just think about throwing it. I mean, obviously there's other things like where I'm throwing it, that kind of stuff. But when I throw the fastball, throw it hard. That's it. When I spin the curveball, spin it as hard as I can. You know what I mean? Like get that thing going downhill and make sure it's coming out hot. I don't want it to be floating up in the zone. I want to get it down. So I just got to think about spinning that thing down as hard as I can. The other thing I think about is my hand coming to my left hip, if that makes sense to you guys. So like throwing my hand down and touching my left hip after through the pitch.
So essentially your follow through.
Right. Yeah. And then the changeup is the opposite. So I think about like throwing my hand in a pronation, like down, like as hard as I can. So just like little things like that.
Is that something you picked up, or is that something coach either in the Pirates or high school?
Picked up, man. I mean, it's like, I swear, I mean, that stuff, like no one can tell me like how to do that. You know what I mean? No one can be like, this is how you do it. Like I just had to find it within myself. Like, oh, this works. This is what I have to think about in order to make this pitch move for me, me individually. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Coming out of high school, you were committed to go to college. Pirates drafted you in the 11th round. You threw a whole lot of zeros at you, I'm sure, which made a nice help make that decision a little easier for you. Coming in, that also does mean though that you're going to be one of the younger people at every stop that you make in your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that maybe add a little extra motivation, or how do you view it, or is it just nothing? There's no real big difference between being 20 playing with a bunch of 22-year-olds.
I feel like I just feel like at the age I'm at now, I think that anybody in front of me, like, or anybody who's playing at the same level as me, regardless of age or anything like that, like those are guys I'm competing with and against. So it's a weird combination. It's like those are your boys. Like these are the guys you're with constantly 24/7, but you also want to beat them out, and there's that competitiveness to you. I don't think age has anything to do with that stuff. You guys are all in the same place. You're there together. Like you guys all have the ability clearly to be in that one spot or to be further than that. But I don't think age is much of a factor once you're in the system. I think mindset is what separates you and what gets you to that, gets you to the bigs.
How big of a jump was it to go from high school to pro ball?
Man, I don't think it was that big of a jump because, going down and playing in those big events as far as travel goes and stuff, you were already playing against some of the top guys in the country. I know they're high schoolers, but those dudes are legit, prospects, legit athletes, like Jarrod, dudes that were drafted like first rounders that are in AA already. It's crazy. I mean, these guys are, legit prospects that I was playing against, during summer ball, during the fall, Jupiter, stuff like that. So when I came to pro ball, I felt like it was like playing that, but all the time. High school was a different story, but after high school season ended, it was, I'm not the best player in the field. Like now I'm trying to get better than every person that's there. I always felt like, I was put in the position, or I wanted to be in the position where I wasn't the best on the field. So those guys motivated me to be better, So I don't think it was that big of a jump. I wanted to go to pro ball because I wanted to see the best. I wanted to be better than the best. I just want to, it inspires you and motivates you. So.
Now, being from Connecticut, did you face any issues with being up north for most of the year?
Like when I got to pro ball, like experienced, or what do you mean?
Stuff like that, because obviously in the up here in the Northeast, the weather isn't always the greatest. You're not able to play year round, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. If you have the motivation to get it done and to be a better athlete, I mean, you're gonna succeed regardless. There's nothing that can stop someone who wants to be great or wants to be really good at something. Like there are facilities up here. There's a lot of facilities up here, especially now. Like the facilities are there's just so many of them. Like everybody's opening one. I know there's a lot of places around me. Like every 20 minutes I drive, I know there's one like there. Like they're everywhere. So there's places to get your work in regardless all the time throughout the year. I don't think I really experienced an issue, especially when I was playing basketball, and then that kept me busy, but on the side, keeping my arm going, playing baseball. Basketball helped, just like keep me, being an athlete rather than just a baseball player, if that makes sense. Like I want to still be an athlete as a pitcher. I don't want to be that guy who can only throw a baseball. I want to still be an athlete when I leave the mound. But yeah, man, being a Northeast guy, I know there's ways to get work in, and there's no excuses up here, man.
So you fall along the lines that you want to be multifaceted, multi-talented as an athlete, and not just specialized in one sport. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to fall into that he's a pitcher only type of category. You know what I mean? Like at least when I was playing like travel ball and stuff, like I didn't want to fall into that. Like I played two-way any way I could. I wanted to stay a hitter. I wanted to stay, position player. I just wanted to be that athlete on the field that could do everything rather than just, oh, this guy pitches, this guy, like I didn't want to fall into that category. I wanted to still be an athlete and be able to show people I'm an athlete.
So as a basketball guy, have you been watching The Last Dance? I'm assuming.
I haven't. I actually haven't.
Oh. So you're the one.
Yeah, sure.
It's okay. I missed it last week.
As a LeBron, or not as a LeBron, but as a basketball guy, LeBron or Kobe?
I mean, Kobe's a legend, man. There's no going against that. But I mean, LeBron is a 6'9", 250-pound man who can just absolutely manhandle anybody he wants down the paint or up top. He can literally do everything, if that makes sense. Kobe just didn't have his size, but I mean, other than that, I can't choose one.
Well, how about from the baseball aspect? If you could pitch against any batter, let's mix it up. Anyone who's playing now, anyone in baseball history, who would it be?
To face?
Yeah.
To pitch against?
Yeah.
Just to say I did, or to try to strike him out.
You're trying to strike him out.
Either one. I mean,
of course I'm trying to, but I mean,
right.
I just don't know if. Like,
I mean, Adam Ottavio said that he would strike out Babe Ruth every at bat, which is maybe
bold. I can't go back to that time and say Babe Ruth was, the best player of all time. Who knows what he would look like in today's era, or if it was the same. I have no idea, but there's so many debates. I don't even want to get into it. One hitter I'd love to face, Manny Ramirez. I'm a big Boston guy. I loved watching those teams when I was younger, 04, 07, seeing them win it. that's where it's at for me.
That was your team growing up?
Yep, it was.
Good time.
Pedro was the pitcher, and I want Manny and Poppy. Just seeing those guys hit back to back all the time. That was awesome.
I think Manny Ramirez is trying to make a comeback. Is that right?
In Taiwan.
Man, he's been making a comeback for like the last 10 years. It's crazy.
You might
I've
end
never
up
seen
getting
that
a
guy
chance.
quit.
I mean, Julio Franco played until he was, 60. So why not?
Hey, if you got it, you got it.
Yeah. Have fun with it. Who cares? It's
Right.
Taiwan. Do what you want to do. All right, I got one more, then I'll let you off the hook. I don't know if Jarrod has more on top of this, but
I
approaching.
have one more myself, but that's about it.
Okay, but approaching, this year, we talked a little bit about, the buckets of rice, throwing to salvage. I hate to say salvage, but to get the most out of this year, what is your big goal? If you have do you have one overline?
Man, I don't know. I kind of look at it day to day rather than, as far as a year goes. Like, today I just want to be better than I was yesterday, kind of like cheesy saying, but seriously, like taking it one day at a time and just trying to get stronger, faster, and just, keep throwing hard and see what happens, man. I just want to keep building myself, working on myself, mentally working on my mental, and just keeping it going, just keep growing, progressing.
Speaking of growing and progressing, is that a quarantine beard, or have you kind of been letting it grow for quite some time?
Quarantine beard, man.
Wow.
I won't touch it. I refuse. My barber does it. I'm not touching it until I can get back in the chair. I'm afraid I'll mess it up.
Did you have a foundation to go there, or was that?
No, I had a little foundation.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah, I definitely had a little foundation before.
Now, is that something that's going away as soon as the quarantine's over, or is it going to stick with you?
No, it's not going away, but definitely getting trimmed. That's for sure. It ain't staying.
I have to get trimmed like every 3 weeks. It's awful. I'm the same way. I don't let anybody touch my hair other than somebody that knows what they're doing, or I'll end up looking like a patchy mess. But to sidetrack off the beard, how are you kind of keeping yourself entertained with all of this outside of your workouts and your daily grind, trying to stay active?
Staying active. Like today's a wicked nice day in Connecticut. It's like 60 degrees out. I was playing some basketball after I did my workout, came inside, played some video games. I play the guitar too. I play the acoustic guitar. Just like learning new things that I wouldn't pick up, actually picking up a book. I actually just started a class at Northeastern this past Monday, managing your personal finances. So just like stuff like that, man. Anything to, keep me busy and make this time, make it worth it. Not just to look back on and be like, oh, I wasted the 3 months I had, whatever, however long we're in this,
What's on your reading list?
I actually am reading not an appropriate title. It's How to Not Give a F. So it's
I've
like
read
a mental
that book.
book.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I read that on my way to the Citrus Bowl 2 years ago for Penn State. I got that book in the Pittsburgh airport, and I read it on the flight down, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts a lot of things into perspective. Now, do you have like a couple other books that you want to read or that you would recommend for people that want to get kind of through this time, to whether it's mentally motivating themselves or just books that you've read in the past?
Tom Brady has a book out, TB12. I dove into that. My dad's reading it now because he wants to get into his, not as crazy as what he's doing, but the pliability stuff that he does, and keeping him feeling young. Because my dad's 50, so he really wants to see how he can keep himself feeling 30, if that makes sense. So doing that, he's got diet plans in there, a bunch of stuff, like just useful stuff, to just dive into, even if you don't use all of it.
I like the book that you are reading now. I feel like that's a good thing for a pitcher to have that mentality.
Yeah, and during these times, man.
yeah, that too. Well, thank you so much. You were canary in the coal mine. I think this went well. Thank you for being on. Where can we find you
Yeah,
on
man.
social media? Now throw some love back.
Actually, let me look. I can't even think of my username. Twitter, MT Burrows, pretty simple. And Instagram, got Mike Burrows. The O is a 0 though. And there you go.
Cool. Well, thank you
Nice.
so much for being on. Hopefully, we see you in games in 2020. That's
Yeah.
still, but best case scenario, we still got you on here. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely,
yes.
man.
I'm Alex Stumpf. That's Jarrod Prugar. We're with DK Pittsburgh Sports. Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.